40 to 50% of users suffering a decrease in proper mental health. Governmental elections rigged. Data and identity stolen. A turning point in human interaction. How social media is changing the face of society. The invention of social media rocked the world as we know it, affecting communication, education, economics, and businesses. But this invention has a dark side. Social media also affects how we purchase items, our mental health, and how we feel about our political values. What was society like before this phenomenon took place? To look at how communication evolved, we can go back to the messenger pigeon. The pigeon would always be able to find its way home, and was therefore used for communication. After that, we had the radio and Alexander Graham Bell's first phone. These phones were unlike our screens today. Both were a wonder for their time. Even the telegram was amazing. Next, we had computers, which took longer to become household items. Then came the revolutionary smartphones. Soon, everyone had one. And soon enough, everyone would be getting on social media platforms. Some of the first social media websites were 6 Degrees and MySpace, both of which gained popularity in the early 2000s. Then, an early version of Facebook came out a year later. This beta version of Facebook was only for college students, but after the creators saw its success, this would eventually be changed. Soon, this platform for college students would eventually have over 1 billion users. In 2016, after seeing the success of the original program, Facebook opened up its registration to anyone. Their idea was to increase the user base to people over the age of 50. As of Jan 2014, 23.3% of users were aged 18 to 24. 24.4% of users were 25 to 35. 31.1% were 35 to 54, and 15.6% were over 55. Facebook successfully increased its user base, and this would affect later events relating to it. In October 2012, Facebook reached 1 billion users. Having 1 billion users made them the most popular social media platform of the time. 1 out of every 7 people would use Facebook. These platforms, however, had to make money somehow. The ad revenue in social media platforms was expected to be $8.8 billion in 2012. It was nearly $16.9 billion. Facebook permeated both the online and physical world. During the 2016 elections, the news came to the surface that social media had a staggering impact on the results. Russian troll bots flooded social media platforms, leaking fake information about the presidential candidates. These bots were also linked to the firing up of the vaccine debates happening on Twitter. Presidential candidates like Barack Obama and Donald Trump were active users of social media, both of whose accounts would help them sway voters. Obama had over 2 million followers on Facebook, and Trump out-tweeted his opponents by having 181 million Twitter interactions compared to his competitors' combined 58 million. This is the first instance in which social media began to threaten the pillars of democracy. As of February 2014, 2/3 of social media users access sites such as Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter every day through a computer, and half of smartphone users did the same. 2 in 5 Americans use their social media accounts at work, and 1 out of 5 even admitted to using it on the toilet. Addiction to social media is and has been at an all-time high. Almost 10% of Americans admit to being addicted. Facebook wasn't the only big social media corporation. After the Chinese company ByteDance saw the successes of their app Douyin in China, they decided to make an international version. The main thing they noticed was that it was very popular with the younger generations. In 2017, ByteDance created TikTok. The app only had nearly 55 million users in 2018, but the user base skyrocketed in the following years. From 2018 to 2021, the app reached 1 billion users. In 1 more year, TikTok would reach 1.5 billion users. The revenue was also high, making $9.4 billion in 2022. However, we would come to see that the same thing that happened to Facebook would happen to TikTok. Countries began banning TikTok, such as Pakistan and India. It also received lots of negative feedback from Republicans in the US. Why were people being so cautious about this app? Rumors spread that the communist Chinese government was utilizing TikTok to collect data on users. A more common app is Snapchat. Starting in 2011, Peekaboo, its original alias, began gaining popularity. Facebook noticed this and sent Snapchat an offer of $3 billion. Snapchat rejected this, which may have enraged Facebook. Suddenly, Instagram, one of Facebook's properties, began to look very similar to Snapchat. Instagram copied Snapchat's idea of stories, and hype began to spread to Instagram. Snapchat didn't seem so cool. In some desperate moves, Snapchat began to lose money and users. From its birth to 2018, things would only go downward. However, in 2019, a sudden burst occurred. People started flocking back to Snapchat, and its stock price increased by 180%. By the end of 2018, there were 218 million active users. Social media is an amazing tool, but it can also be a terrible weapon. Mental health decreases and deaths of many can all be caused by some likes and comments. Just recently, in Jan 2024, CEOs of major social media corporations were called to speak in front of Congress. These include Discord, Snapchat, Facebook, X, formerly Twitter, and TikTok. They were testifying at the United States Senate Judiciary Committee hearing Big Tech and the Online Child Sexual Exploitation Crisis. Parents of children who died from various types of peer pressure through social media, such as suicide, sex offenders, and kidnappers, showed up to support for their loved ones. Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of Facebook, apologized to these families.
To the victims? Would you like to do so now? Well, they're here. You're on national television. Would you like now to apologize to the victims who have been harmed by your product? Show them the pictures. Would you like to apologize for what you've done to these good people?
I'm sorry for everything that you've all been through. No one should have to go through the things that your families have suffered. And this is why we invested so much and are going to continue doing these streaming efforts to make sure that no one has to go through the types of things that your families have had to suffer.
You know, why, Mr. Zuckerberg, why should your company not be sued for this? Why is it that you can claim, you hide behind a liability shield, you can't be held accountable? Shouldn't you be held accountable personally? Will you take personal responsibility?
Senator, I think I've already answered this. I mean, these
Well,
are
try us
serious
again.
issues.
Will you take personal responsibility?
Senator, I view my job and the job of our company as building the best tools that we can to keep our community safe.
Well, you're failing at that.
Well, Senator, we're doing an industry-leading effort. We build AI tools
nonsense. Your product is killing people. Will you personally commit to compensating the victims? You're a billionaire. Will you commit to compensating the victims? Will you set up a compensation fund
Senator,
with your money?
I think these are
With your money.
Senator, these are complicated
Yes, no, that's not a complicated question, though. That's
Senator,
a yes or no. Will you set up a victims' compensation fund with your money, the money you made on these families sitting behind you? Yes or no?
Senator, I don't think that's my job is to
Sounds
make sure
like a
we build
no.
good tools. My
Sounds
job
like a
is
no.
to make sure that
Your job is to be responsible for what your company has done. You've made billions of dollars on the people sitting behind them. Are you here? You've done nothing to help them. You've done nothing to compensate them. You've done nothing to put it right. You could do so here today, and you should. You should, Mr. Zuckerberg.
However, Zuckerberg's apology might not be sincere. Accounts from whistleblowers prove that Zuckerberg knew the negative effects of his platform, but he looked the other way for profit. This isn't the first time Zuckerberg has gone to Congress, standing before them in the 2016 presidential election. Facebook was one of the main platforms used by Russian troll bots to spread propaganda. The world would hear the same apology from him then. Along with congressional hearings and possible court cases against the CEOs, mental health has been on a decrease. Negative mental health has almost doubled since 2000. This perfectly links up with the increase in social media users. There is a potential causal relationship between the two. The more people that go on social media, the worse this mental health epidemic gets. Putting these two graphs here side to side, we can see the correlation between the two. As soon as social media corporations began to gain popularity, the negative mental health epidemic worsens. Social media is known to be a place where people can share videos, share thoughts, and share ideas. But behind these videos is a dangerous world. Social media is amazing, but can we trust what we see online? Or will we fall victim to the endless likes, comments, and shares?